suicide, not a great option. Don't do it. Um, you just had to do it all again. It's not opting out that you think it is. Maybe you feel like you need a little bit of a rest, but you know what? If you do, then I say, heck, go. You know what? If you're thinking about ending your life anyway, you might as well do whatever the heck you want to with it instead of killing yourself. You might as well, go and actually live a life that you really want to live. Hello, friends. Today we are talking about a little bit of a heavier topic. That's why I have my cup of tea ready for deep talk with Jillian. Um, I posted a video on how life works, and I will link to that somewhere, at the very least at the end of the video, from the perspective of reincarnation, and had a few comments which were beautiful, and thank you so much for your honesty and vulnerability, asking about how suicide works when it comes to reincarnation. And I will tell you, this is one that hits me personally, because I have dealt with depression off and on since I was 13 years old. And the thought of suicide is something that I'm familiar with. And I will honestly and 100% tell you that it is because of my understanding of reincarnation and how it all works is the reason that I'm still here today. Because heads up, the truth is, when you opt out voluntarily of your life, what you do is you end up hitting the reset button and you have to live it all again. And I'll get into the details about what that means, what that experience is, what doing it all again looks like. So we'll dig into all of the juicy topics when it comes to suicide and reincarnation. It's a very uplifting topic, but I think it is one that is important. So let's dive in. So, a little about me that I didn't go into in my last video, what makes me an expert on reincarnation. I have been studying reincarnation for over 30 years. And by studying reincarnation, I means I eat up everything that I can get my hands on when it comes to talking about what is happening both in our life and on the other side when we pass over. So that goes from past life regressions to what mediums and psychics have to say, to people that have had near death experiences, to also children and what they have reported about what happened before. Of course, children, they tell it a little simplistic way. But the thing that has been amazing over the last 30 years is seeing the commonalities. And there are differences too. But there's certainly a common theme and common threads and common truths throughout it. For me, it's the closest I've been able to get to combining science and spirituality, because when you have all these various different perspectives that align, that tells me something. I'm going to talk about everything that I've learned and know from these various different sources in future videos. So if this is something that you're curious about, subscribe and hit the bell, I suppose. That way you get notified when I come out with a new video. There'll be a lots coming. And also, if there's any particular topic or question you have, post it down below and I'll get to it, just like this video on suicide and reincarnation. Okay, so there are a few things I'm going to be covering today. I want to talk about why it is that life is so hard, that we get to the point where we think about opting out. I want to talk about what actually happens when we die and pass over, what the experience is like on the other side after we've, opted out. I think I'm going to use the phrase opted out just to be a little bit kind to people, that this is a hard and serious and traumatic topic. I'm also going to talk about in your next life, how it kind of shows up. So perhaps you're somebody who committed suicide in a previous life and how it might look in this particular life. Just a little bit of clues, or if you're looking at other people in your life and wondering, and we're going to talk about that. And of course, I want to talk about what we can do instead. When we get to the point where we think that suicide is our best option, it means that we're in a pretty hard and dark place. And so if you're in that place right now, my heart is with you. And let's just say right off before you tune out, hold on. It gets better, of course. Everybody likes to say that. It's hard to feel that when you're in the moment. But there is a lot you can get out of your life if you stick with it. So I'll talk about things that you can do to help you get through this point. And for those of you who have lost somebody, again, my heart goes out to you because it's a tragedy. And so I'll also hopefully offer you some words of consolation or wisdom or help that helps you continue to navigate how you deal with such a depth of loss in your life. Okay, well, here we go. Okay, so a little recap. Some of you may have watched my The Truth About Reincarnation, How Life Really Works video, and some of you may have not. So I don't want to leave any of you out in the cold. If this is your first video with me, welcome. So essentially, how life works is before you come into form, you work on planning out your life. You work with your spirit guides to plan out different challenges and obstacles that you're going to face so that you learn and grow. You're here to learn and grow. Your soul wants to evolve and wants to be the best version of you. So you plan some, unfortunately, hard things that help you learn more about love, about self-love, about love of other people, about power, about conquering fears. I mean, it's a long list. Those will have to be other videos. But the idea being that you planned for your life to be hard. I know it sounds weird and crazy, but it is what seems to be the theme across all of these different sources of information, that it is essentially a school that we've set up and we give ourselves homework assignments. So whatever you're dealing with right now, if you are alive, you are working on your homework assignments or your life work assignments, if you will. And then we also have a purpose to fulfill. We also have relationships we're working out. Those are topics for other videos. Don't have as much relevance as we talk about this topic around suicide, but I think the one that is very relevant is when we talk about our challenges. So we plan out our life with our guides, and we can be really ambitious on the other side. I certainly believe that I was, and because we think we can do it all. On the other side, we don't experience pain and suffering and self-doubt and all of that. And the other side, it's a state of love and acceptance and compassion. And so we know what we've done before. We know what we've learned. We know that we've already grown, and we will like to sign up for a full little plate of opportunities to grow our soul. But sometimes we forget that it's a lot harder when we're actually here in a physical body. The biology that we experience that cause us to be a bit more negatively oriented. I mean, that is in our biology, our biological makeup, where we might have a predisposition for depression, or simply the fear that can just overwhelm us, or the challenges of relationships. It can be overwhelming. And I don't know about you, but I certainly have been in the place where I was like, what were you thinking? As I've gone through it, I get what I was thinking, and it's like, oh, everything is okay and it's all working out. But it can be really hard in the moment. And I will tell you, your guides are there, and they will be like, you know what? I think that might be a little too much. I think that'll be a little too hard for you. And so sometimes you'll listen to their advice and you'll make adjustments. And sometimes you're stubborn and you think, no, I want to try to get as much juice out of this lifetime as possible. So here you are in this lifetime and you're dealing with this. And I can hear you say, I think that's a bunch of bull. I cannot believe I signed up to feel this way. And I understand that. And I get that. I totally, completely, 100% get that. But again, this is not coming from me and what I think. This is coming from all of these different sources and people that have passed over, right? And come back and have had near-death experiences and what they talk about as well. So, yeah. But I do want to make one thing really clear. Suicide is not part of our life plan. We don't plan out our life and say, okay, and I also am planning to commit suicide. We do plan our death. We do plan deaths around like a car accident or cancer or whatever that might be, because there could be a lesson for us in it. There could be a karmic realignment or rebalancing that happens. It could be a lesson that our loved ones around us go through. That's another topic. When it comes to suicide, we do not plan to opt out of this life. We plan to see it through to the end. So please remember that it is not destined or preordained that you should be leaving your physical body. You made the plan to stick through your whole life. But unfortunately, right, sometimes suicide does happen. So let's talk about what happens when that occurs. First of all, this is true with all deaths. You get pulled out of your body so that you don't have to experience the pain. So if you know anybody that died in a very traumatic way, um, please know that their body was going through that, but their soul was able to step outside of their body and they didn't have to experience it. So when you're talking about suicide, for example, people that jump off of, and again, I'm going to be, this is of course a trigger warning. It is a, it's a video about suicide. So we're going to be talking about some details. So for people who, jump out of buildings or jump out of a bridge, their soul gets pulled out of their body before they hit the ground. So at least I hope that there's some comfort in that. If you've lost somebody by suicide, that they didn't experience that pain or suffering that you would not want them to have to feel and face and deal with. Okay, and then you cross over, and I have seen this and read this and heard this time and again. Overwhelmingly, the first reaction that people have is regret. They regret doing it. They think, oh, this was a waste. I shouldn't have done that. I still had so much more to do. It was a waste of a life. They wish they had not opted it out. So again, it's a very physical body situation that you're dealing with. This is not your soul's truth. When I've listened to the stories being recounted through mediums, right, the message that will often come through is a real sense of regret and also a deep apology to the people that they have left behind. They feel so much sorrow about, because they know the suffering that they've put the other people through. They feel that. You feel when you pass on, you have to feel the experiences you've created within other people. You experience the emotions you've created in other people because of your actions, both positive, right, the wonderful things you've done in the world, but also negative. The person who passes over from suicide understands the sorrow that they've caused other people because they physically feel it. And so they have such a depth of compassion for those who are left behind, who are dealing with their absence. And as you know, not all suicides are successful, right? And that can be because either their soul got an opportunity to say, like, hey, are you really sure that you want to do this? And the soul said, no, actually, sorry, I didn't mean it. Let's go back. I want to go back and try to finish what I started. And sometimes it can simply be the guides that say, no, this is not your time to opt out. We're not going to let you do that. You need to get back there. You need to try again. Now, of course, if somebody is really determined to leave, we do have free will, right? You can make that choice. It's just not in your best interest. Okay, so the person is successful. They've crossed over because of suicide. Then what happens on the other side? Well, first of all, they don't go to hell. There is no hell on the other side. Now, that can be another video if you're interested. There can be a place, kind of like a purgatory, for people that are in a really dark place that they can be in until they figure out, hey, I don't need to be here. I am full of love. I don't have to live in this sort of a state. I will say it's pretty rare for people to go to that kind of a place. And I haven't heard it for people that commit suicide. It's more people that maybe led really, really dark lives that experience something a little dark on the other side. But really, when people cross over from suicide, they are met with a tremendous amount of love and compassion from those on the other side and their guides. They understand life is hard, right? And they realize it's kind of like, they know that you've gone through this whole thing to get there, and then you kind of freaked out and you left. And they're like, ooh, I get it. It was hard. You're going to have to go back and do it again. But we love you. And we know that it had to be really hard for you to get to that particular place. So please know that for those that have crossed over, that there's nothing but love and kindness and compassion waiting for them on the other side. Honestly, the most negative emotions about it comes from, of course, the people that are still living that have been left with this gap in their life, but also from the person themselves. Like I said before, that sense of regret, that sense of failure, that sense of like, oh, I really missed out on an opportunity. And now I have to go back and do it again and have to start at the beginning again. It's not a fun thing to have to go through all of this life where you've pushed through so hard to get where you've gotten to, and then you just got to go back to the beginning again. It's disheartening. Um, Number one reason why it's not an option for me, because I want to keep the progress that I've made in this life. Thank you very much. Okay, so you're on the other side. I won't go through all of the details about what happens on the other side because, again, that can be another video. They, of course, will do a life review and look at where they went wrong, where things went off track, and then they hop back into life pretty quickly. Actually, they realize, oops, I opted out too quickly. I need to go back in. So it's not like they get this extended amount of, it's not like they get a little vacation on the other side where they get to just like chill. It's like, oop, nope, got to get back in the game. Got to try that again. In some cases, I have heard that it can be even days or months before the person re-enters life again. So it can be pretty quick. Of course, it always varies based off of the situation and the person and their guides and what they're working on, etc. But do know that it can be pretty instantaneous from the research that I have done. When they've looked at children from children's perspectives and mapping them to a suicide that they had in a previous life. So, yeah, and on top of it, they will often come back into another member of the family or into friends of the family because they are part of the whole karmic relationships. There was something that they were needing to get out of those relationships, so they enter back in. So, that at least might be a little bit of a bright spot for those of you who lost somebody, is look around at the people in your life that have had a new little baby, and maybe that person that you've lost has come back again. And I'm going to give you some signs in a minute about what it looks like in their next life. But before we do that, I have one last area I want to cover because I think it's interesting. What about people that have illnesses, have traumatic illnesses? Like Robin Williams comes to mind, where they know that they're going to have this progressive disease and they just don't want to experience going through that. I have read and learned about that as well. And it's a little bit more nuanced, right? There is a greater understanding and compassion for somebody who's saying, I don't want to have that experience. So it's not so much of a reset button. It's not so much that they have to go through and live their life again. So different story. However, the thing that I have read and heard is that it is a missed opportunity because in going through that time period, you will have to face some things about yourself, and that gives you a chance for you to learn and grow. But also, and I think even more so, it can really be something powerful that happens within you in the relationship in your life. So, for example, in that time period, is there somebody who takes care of you as you're descending into your final story? Um, that might be a real growth opportunity for them. That might be a powerful karmic rebalancing between the two of you. It can just be a beautiful way that they can show their love, or it can be a way that there could be relationships that get healed. I mean, I will tell you personally, my mother passed away several years ago from cancer, and she was on hospice. Our relationship at the end, we had a really wonderful relationship most of our lives, but in the last 2 years, it wasn't as great as I would have liked it to be, and as she would have liked it to be. But those last 3 weeks that she was in hospice were really powerful for me. And I'll try not to get emotional. But I think my relationship with my mother, if it had ended without that time period, I don't know. How I don't know how it would have been for me. I do know I treasure those last few weeks, I was able to sit with her by her side and take care of her. And I feel like by being able to be there and show her love, that it healed something for us in some way. Um, it at least healed something for me. And I was really grateful I could be there for her. Now, does that mean you need to go through suffering for somebody else's benefit? No, you don't. You don't. But I am saying that there can be opportunities to stick around and see it through. Again, for the people that are having to make this choice, this is their choice. This is their choice, and nobody can make that for them. But that's just my understanding from what I've learned, and a little bit of information as to put in the pot, to put in the little decision pot when dealing with such a tremendous life choice. So yeah, I mean, that's particularly, I'm from Oregon, right? We were one of the very first death with dignity states. I think we were the first in the United States. And I'm a strong believer in it, that people have the right to choose. But I also am a strong believer that there is opportunity and there are gifts in the struggle. So take that as you will. Okay, so the person has passed on. They are now reborn again. There are some little pieces of information that can kind of give you a little bit of a clue as far as if this is you or if this is someone you know, whether or not that they had had a suicide in the past life. One, of course, if they're an adult, so you can always do a past life regression. Personally, that was also a part of my story. I had the opportunity to go to Brian Weiss. You know, I love Brian Weiss. Many Lives, Many Masters. It's a great intro book on reincarnation. Um, he had a seminar and did a past life regression, and in that past life regression, I had a recall of committing suicide myself, like with a rifle, and I can even remember feeling it. I won't get graphic about it, just in case it triggers people, but I could really feel the metal, and I remember being underneath a tree. I remember all of these different details and the feeling that I had. And I really, truly do believe, after looking at that life and the struggles that I dealt with in that life, and I'll be honest, like, let's be honest, I was single. I was this ranch hand who was single my whole life, and I couldn't handle it. I felt really lonely, and I opted out. And I will tell you, in this life, it is a theme of mine. I am like this perpetually single person. That is one of my life challenges and obstacles that I still have to figure out. I'm working on it. Sometimes I'm not working on it. Sometimes I'm like, I can't work on that right now. But I will tell you that it is very another powerful reason for me to be like, no, I'm just going to stick it through. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to see what I can learn from this, because I don't need to hit reset. I don't need to hit replay. I just want to get as far as I can with this. And then we'll see what I can figure out next time. So past life regression, right? What about children, right? What if you have any questions? Like I said, maybe you had somebody that passed from suicide, and now you've got some little ones in your life, and you're wondering if any of them are the person who passed over. Well, there are some signs. One, birthmarks. Birthmarks are notorious little clues for how we passed over in previous lives. So moles or scars, sometimes even things that accumulate a little bit later in life. But so if somebody shot themselves, there might be a birthmark in that particular spot. I don't need to get graphic. I think you get the idea. So birthmarks can be a clue. Additionally, their play. That's also what a lot of research has found out, is that how children play. Sometimes they play the way that they committed suicide. So, I mean, even one story was about this child who played with a noose. And that sounds traumatic as a parent, to have a child pretend to hang themselves with a noose. But that was one of the indicators that helped them kind of figure out the connection. Or potions, right? That they're killing, other ways that they're playing out suicide. That can be an idea. They might also remember, right? As children up to age 5, they will have memories and recollections frequently about the life that they lived before or the time in between and getting ready for this life. So sometimes they might even talk about it. I have found that children aren't always the best to kind of interact with, because sometimes they'll talk about it and sometimes they just kind of lose interest and want to go off and do something else. So while I've wanted to drill the children in my life for all of their past life details, I have not had that opportunity. So that's sort of the full soup to nuts. What happens from as you get ready for a hard life to opting out of a hard life to getting back into another hard life, right? In that next life, you're going to be dealing with the same situations. It'll be a little different. It'll be set up a little different. It's like, okay, well, we played this game and you decided to quit it. So let's kind of change some of the different dynamics and see if we alter things a little bit here and there, if you'll be able to get it that time. And sometimes it's actually harder because there's the hope that if we make it a little harder, you'll be more motivated to learn it more quickly and will wake up from it. Now, it's not always, but even if it's as hard as it is already, isn't it worth just trying to stick it out? That's what I tell myself, at least. Okay, so I want to address anybody who is in the situation where this is an option that they're contemplating, because this is big, it's serious. And if you're watching this video to try to help yourself make some decisions, I hope this helps. But I don't want to leave you in a place where you're feeling so stuck, right? Let me give you some ideas. Of course, therapy, right? Number one, go to talk to some friends. This is stuff you already know. So let me give you some other ideas and other thoughts. There are other ways to heal. If therapy is not your thing, you can go to energy healers, for example. That's one of the things that I like to do when I have depression. It's amazing. I swear it's what got me into energy healing. That this feeling like for me, when I'm depressed, it's like I have this cloud or this, like my head is full of tears, or it's like this physical feeling I have. And if I go and get an energy healing or do one myself, it's like it just clears the cloud away and I can think and breathe and things feel brighter. So huge fan of energy work. If that's something that you're open to, go ahead and explore. Reiki is what it's also known by. There are different types, and Reiki is one type of energy healing. So go and explore. There's that. But I think more importantly, you are faced with a challenge right now. And it's hard and it's overwhelming. And I think it would be good for you to just stop for a moment and think about it as dispassionately or robotically as you can, if you can. What is it that your soul might be wanting to learn from this? Hint, it's usually something about love, or power, self-love, feeling powerful, seeing how wonderful you are, usually is the gist of what we're trying to get to. But really think about, if this was something that I had planned, if I did this on purpose, what is the purpose? What is the reason why I'm dealing with this challenge? Because by understanding it, that's how you can get over it and through it. Okay. Sometimes it's simply about accepting a particular situation. In my case, like I said about this perpetual singledom thing, I just got to the part where I accepted it, and then even more so got to see the really wonderful parts about it and began to really appreciate it, and appreciate what it meant in my life and the gifts that it gave me and what it allowed me to do, because I was able to live a more independent life. So I would say, if you could look at your life challenge right now and think about what is possibly good about it, what are the possible gifts I could get out of it, it might change the way you think about things. And also setting an intention. Think about where you want to go. So I'm a cyclist. And I love bringing biking analogies into my spirituality because it's been the most powerful spiritual teacher I've had. But in cycling, we are taught, like, you look where you want to go. So when you're biking and you see a pothole, you don't look at the pothole because you go into it. You want to look at that route that goes around the pothole. So similarly, in your life, where do you want to go? Right now, you're looking at the pothole. Right now, you're looking at the pothole. Where do you actually want to go? What would you actually want your life to look like, even if you think it's not possible right now? What is it that you want it to look like? And once you start focusing on that and putting your energy into that and your intention into that, I mean, you can think about this in a metaphysical way. It's also, psychology 101 as well. What you focus on is what you end up creating in your life. So focus on the direction you want to go in to get yourself out of the pothole that you find yourself in. And lastly, so I was a psychology major. That was also one of my little bits about me. I was a psych major, and I was particularly fascinated with evolutionary psychology. I took many evolutionary psychology classes because I really think that the more we can understand our physical biology in this life, it also helps us navigate our life, because you have to understand the constraints of the physical body that we're living in order to help navigate it, just like depression. How I feel when I am thinking about not being alive anymore, I know it's because I'm going through a biological situation. It is not my truth. It's a biochemical thing that's happening in my physical body. And so I know for me, I need to work on my biochemistry. For me, that means I need to exercise. It means I need to eat more protein. It means I need to do the things that cause me to feel healthier in my physical body. And that helps me get me out of that muck if I'm not doing the energy healing that I mentioned earlier. So there's all of that. I like to understand what's going on in our physical body in order to really live this life effectively. So evolutionary psychology was a class I was fascinated with. And there was a theory about depression. And not everybody I know that commits suicide deals with the depression, but that's a real strong Venn diagram, isn't it? Most people are going to be dealing with some form of depression because, that feeling of hopelessness. But evolutionary psychology will look at various different things that we experience in life and try to understand what's an evolutionary sort of reason for us experiencing this. Why do we have colds, or or menopause, or whatever it might be? What are some of the factors at play? And so depression is one that they looked at. And there's a theory, simply a theory, that depression is a signal to let you know that something is off track in your life. I think about that a lot too when I deal with depression. Um, it's like something is out of alignment, and it's a way that your body is talking to you and telling you, this is not how I am wanting my life to be. And so for me, it can be a bit of a wake up call. And I end up like quitting a whole bunch of things sometimes when I'm depressed, because I'm like, well, this isn't working for me. This is not what my soul wants. I need to opt out of this. Not always great to make huge decisions when you're depressed, but I think it is worth exploring and examining your life to be like, well, what is it that is out of alignment with me that's causing me to be in a state of despair, to be honest. And finally, for those of you who have lost somebody, again, I am so sorry. When I hear about people dying, I don't feel bad for the person who died, because I know they're doing great on the other side. I feel awful for the people that are left behind, because we're the ones that are having to pick up the pieces and having to figure out how to go on with this big gaping hole in our life, right? This person that we loved so much. And sometimes there's a lot of emotions that go with it. There can be guilt and self-blame and shouldn't I have seen the signs, and all of the stuff that we do to ourselves because we like to attack ourselves. We like to try to nitpick at ourselves because we're trying to figure out a way to not have this happen again, right? You have an opportunity here. This may not have been a predestined life choice, but this does become a life opportunity to grow, to be able to learn forgiveness a bit more for the person who passed, for yourself, learn love a bit more for yourself, for the person who passed, right? Um, Sometimes people will take what they have experienced and turn this into a gift that they're able to give other people. So maybe they do that through starting a foundation, or working with people that were dealing with particular issues. For example, if there was alcohol or drugs involved, getting involved in helping other people. So they're able to turn this horrible thing that happened into something that can be beautiful and positive, and so sort of transmute it, if you will. It's you don't have to. Just getting through life day by day is fine, but that is something that you can choose to do if you want to make something positive out of it. But even more so, what I want you to hear is that they're still with you. They're still around. They still love you. They're visiting you. You can talk to them. You can sing to them. If you give yourself a chance to be open and still, you might even be able to feel their love for you, or smell their perfume or cologne, or feel their hand on your shoulder. Um, it is frustrating when they're not here in physical form because we don't get to experience them, but they still experience us. They still come to visit. You can still talk with them. They are not gone. Of course, once they reincarnate, they might also actually be physically in your life again. So look around who might be a new little one in your life that might need a little extra love from you because they're still recovering from what just happened. Okay, so that is the uplifting topic of suicide and reincarnation. What else do you want to know? Let me know. Subscribe if you like this. If you're still here, hit the like button. I would really love for this video to get out to as many people as possible. If this video helps one person, two person, three, apparently I can't count, rethink their choice and decide to stick it out a little bit longer, oh, what a gift, what a gift, what a gift. So please, the more you like and comment and subscribe and all of that, it means that this video gets seen by more people. So let's get the word out that suicide, not a great option. Don't do it. Um, you just had to do it all again. It's not opting out that you think it is. Maybe you feel like you need a little bit of a rest, but you know what? If you do, then I say, heck, go. You know what? If you're thinking about ending your life anyway, you might as well do whatever the heck you want to with it instead of killing yourself. You might as well, go and actually live a life that you really want to live. Go and move to Tahiti. Go and start trying to become a professional singer. I mean, do something crazy, because taking your life is crazy. So you might as well do something crazy that actually might give you some joy at the end of it. Anyway, I got a little passionate there at the end. I hope you all are well, and I hope that you stay safe and healthy. And yeah, keep tuning in to find out who can live a life on purpose. Thanks.